Hello. Hello, and welcome to what I hope is another 30-minute Thursday. My name is Amit. It is just about 2 p.m. in the beautiful Pacific Northwest on Friday, not Thursday. Yes, I know 30-minute Thursday doesn't have quite the same ring and cachet as 30-minute Friday does, but we had some technical difficulties yesterday. When I say we, I mean me. It's all me. I can blame Facebook and I could say Zoom wasn't interacting and all the rest of that stuff. But at the end of the day, y'all who know me know that I'm analog and there's an awful lot of technology happening right now. But what I believe is that we are live on Facebook and it is Friday, and happy weekend to you guys. The weekend is coming. It is glorious in the Pacific Northwest. If you could see right over here, that's kind of a window in my kitchen, and you can see the sunlight just streaming in. When it's pretty in the Northwest, it is the prettiest place on the planet. So we have that going for us, and the technology is working, I believe, which is awesome. I think we are in fact live on Facebook, which I'm really thrilled about. We don't have all that feedback and that echo loop. I'm learning, which is always a great thing if you can learn stuff. And on top of everything else, the Lunar New Year is coming. I believe that is going to be on the 22nd, whatever, like when is the 22nd? Is it in Asia the 22nd or here the 22nd, whatever it is? The Lunar New Year is coming January 22nd, and it's going to be the year of the rabbit or the year of the cat. Some in the Vietnamese tradition refer to it as the year of the cat. In the Chinese tradition and the other non-Vietnamese tradition, I believe it's the year of the rabbit. And that is a very fortuitous year. The rabbit is considered a very good luck symbol, good luck animal. Toward that end, I am wearing my red. We've got red all over the house. My wife's family is of Chinese ancestry, so we do in fact take this very, very seriously. We're excited for it. We're looking forward to welcoming in the year of the rabbit. And to all of my friends who celebrate the Lunar New Year and who are part of that tradition, I won't say it just yet, but I hope you guys have a wonderful new year, very prosperous, very healthy, and very happy new year coming up. So here we are. I hope everybody's staying healthy. I hope everybody's staying safe. I hope you guys are staying sane. I kind of went insane yesterday when I lost my Facebook, but here we are, and it's all happening. It's all coming together. So I'm going to try to recreate for you guys what I was talking about yesterday, and I did do a full broadcast. It actually recorded on Zoom. It just didn't go live on Facebook, so I have that to fall back on if that's necessary. But I want to talk with y'all about the housing market. We always talk about real estate and mortgages because that's what I do professionally. That is one of my professional passions, and I really want to share with you guys what's happening in the markets and what we can expect going forward. There's a lot of people a lot of buyers for that matter, wannabe buyers who were hoping and who are still hoping that the world goes to heck in a handbasket, that the world falls apart, and that we see a repeat of what we experienced in 2008 and 2009 and 2010, because they would like, selfishly speaking, it's okay, I don't say selfish in a bad way, we're all kind of motivated by our own situation, but they would like to see that because they want to be able to buy real estate cheap, right? They want to pay 50 cents on the dollar, 30 cents on the dollar, and be able to buy things more affordably. And while I understand the sentiment and I appreciate the fact that we all want a bargain, the reality is that they don't think about the grander picture. So let me just put it in a perspective. If we have a collapse, if we have a calamity like that, what makes these people think that their situation will escape that? It's like saying, hey, we're going to have a hurricane, but my home is going to not get rained on, and my home's not going to suffer wind damage. It's hopeful, it's wishful thinking, but how do you know that? So let's say we have an economic collapse and the housing market deteriorates completely. Not saying that it will, but if it does, what guarantees do you have that there's going to be lending available, that you're still going to have your job, that you're still going to have a down payment available, that, you know, all the pieces of the puzzle are going to align and allow for you to buy that real estate on the cheap? You know, it's one thing to have stuff happen. It's a whole nother thing to be in a position to take advantage of that opportunity and to make it happen for yourself. That doesn't always happen. In fact, usually it doesn't happen. So in that situation, I think these folks are kind of missing the mark, but they're also missing the mark for a larger reason. And that larger reason is what I want to talk with you guys about right now. First, a little bit of history. I have a degree in history from college. I read somewhere, and I don't remember exactly where, probably social media, but that one of the most worthless degrees you can get as an undergrad is history. So mom and dad, thanks for putting me through college. Sorry, I squandered it. I think we're doing okay, though. Unless you're going to teach or unless you're going to be a lawyer, they say that having an undergrad degree in history is a little bit unnecessary. They may be right, but for what it's worth, it's good to know the past so you can have an understanding of where we're heading in the present and what the future might look like. So a little bit of past history, not ancient history. 2008 happened because 2006 happened. So what happened in 2006? That wasn't that long ago. That's what, 18, 17 years ago, something like that. What happened in 2006? Well, basically, I know because I was there. I was a mortgage lender at that time as well. I will tell you that in 2006, we did not have a lot of buyers available to purchase homes. We had an abundance of supply, but not a lot of demand. Why is that? Well, among other things, there were about 2 million new homes available for sale nationwide in this country. And there were about 900,000 household formations. That's what represents the demand in residential real estate. There are only about 900,000 household formations in 2006. A household formation is basically someone who moves out of their parents' home and decides that they're going to be on their own, or somebody who moves out of a rental situation and starts to buy their own home, or somebody who finds a significant other and they couple up and they decide that they're going to buy a new home together and start a family. Household formations. We had about 900,000 of them in 2006, and we had about 2 million brand new homes on the market nationwide, not just in the Pacific Northwest, nationwide. But that was a major imbalance between supply and demand. And so that created the need for lending to become creative. And creative lending, I was there, I remember this. Creative lending is what helped facilitate the collapse. Let me explain what creative lending looks like to you. We had at that time, and I was working for that company. I didn't choose to start there, but I ended up there. There was a company that was offering no income verification, no asset verification financing. So if you had a 700 credit score, we could do an 80% loan with no income and no assets verified, no pay stubs, no bank statements, just your credit report. That happened. If you had a 720 credit score, we would do 100% financing with no income and no assets verified. That was also happening. That is not the case any longer. Guys, I hate to burst the bubble for you, but you cannot get a no income, no asset verification loan at this time. I don't know if you'll ever be able to get one of those again. But other creative financing deals, we had negative amortization deals. What does a negative amortization loan look like? Basically, the homeowner had 4 options for their payment. They actually called it the pay option arm, and they provided you 4 options for making the payment. One option was on the 30-year fixed rate amortization. Second option was on the 15-year fixed amortization schedule. The third option was interest only, full interest payment, but just interest, no principal. And option number 4, which everybody seemed to want to take, was the minimum monthly payment option. That wasn't even a full interest payment, let alone no amortization. So no principal payment. So what that meant basically is if your interest payment was $1,000 and your minimum monthly payment was $750, we would collect $750, or the loan servicer would collect $750 on the minimum payment, and that additional $250 in unpaid interest got added to your principal balance. So not only did you not pay off the loan, you were adding to the balance. You guys see where a recipe for disaster this could be? Investors loved it. because they could get into an investment home and they would be cash flow positive right off the bat. And so they loved that minimum monthly payment. They didn't care about the negative amortization right up until the time that all the music stopped and the demand collapsed completely and the liquidity froze up. No one could buy, no one could sell. And guess what? People just abandoned their homes. If you walked into a home with zero out of pocket, like zero down payment, and you lived there for however many years you lived there, and you might have even pulled some cash out of that home in the months and years leading up to 2006, 2007, and then all of a sudden you lost your job, you lost your ability to make your payments, some other things happened, or you had this as a rental and your tenants stopped making rent payments. Guess what? People just abandoned their homes. They just walked away. They just left it for the bank. There were neighborhoods that were abandoned. There were homes that were not completed in construction. There were people that were leaving their homes and ripping the copper plumbing and the wiring out of the walls and leaving a mess for the lender to take over. And that's what happened in the years 2006, 2007 that led up to the 2008 and 2009 and 2010 collapse of the market. And that's what some of these buyers or wannabe buyers are hoping is going to happen in 2023 or 2024. I have news for you. The world is different. First of all, none of that funky, those funky loan programs are available. Funky financing, not going to find it. Not yet, not anywhere. I mean, maybe somewhere, but not anywhere legitimate. And so you're not going to see a lot of people in these deals right now. I know my first home purchase, I did as a no income verification loan as well. I had good credit, didn't have great income. We didn't default, so on and so forth. But you're not going to find funky financing anymore. You know what else you're not going to find? People with zero down payment. People have equity in their homes right now. So for those of you out there who are thinking, man, I can't wait, you got the Mr. Burns, excellent, and you're waiting for the market to collapse so you could sweep in and buy homes on the cheap. Let me ask you something. Let's imagine, heaven forbid, that it's my home, the home that you see right behind me here. It's a beautiful home. I really love where I live. And guess what? I got a ton of equity in this house. So heaven forbid something happens. I'm not able to do my job anymore. I can't earn the kind of income that I need to make my housing payments. I start falling behind. I start worrying about my other things. What in the world makes you think that I'm just going to walk away from this property and not sell it on the open market for whatever I can get? Remember, I put money down here. I've got equity here. My values have appreciated over the years. I've got money tied into this house right now. I can't access it unless I sell the home or I do a home equity line of credit to extract that money. But if I fall upon really hard times and I need to reevaluate my life, I need to downsize my life, I need to make a drastic change, you want to be home buyers. What makes you think that I'm going to just give it to you for free? Or that anybody of my neighbors, your neighbors, what makes you think that I'm just going to take 30 cents on the dollar and walk away? I have equity. I have options. I don't have to just abandon the property. It's a totally different situation right now from my perspective as a homeowner. And that's what we're seeing right now as the market has shifted and as interest rates went up, a lot of sellers stopped selling because they're like, hey, I want top dollar. I want what my neighbor got in 2021 when they sold their home. I don't have to sell right now. I'll just wait. And that's what they're doing. And there's plenty of people with plenty of equity. So that whole dynamic is not present. It's not like it was in 06. It's not like it's going to be in 08. So try to get that out of your head. Let me, if I can get the technology to work with me here, let me share my screen and show you a chart here. Hold on one second. Boom. Oh man, when technology works, I feel like the King of England. I'm not going to kid you. For me, it's such a cool thing to see technology actually working. But let me show you this chart right here. This came out a couple of days ago. The December 2022 housing starts and permits. This talks about new construction. So this is stuff that's brand new. Like this home that I bought in 2016 was brand new. Never had been lived in before. In Texas, we used to refer to that as sticks and bricks in the air, new construction. Okay, now take it with a huge grain of salt. New construction homes account for roughly 10 to 15% of the total market nationwide. So not a huge segment of the market in general, but these numbers are highlighted for a reason. Permits, this is permission to start building, 1.3 million year over year. So from 2021 December to 2022 December, that represents 30% fewer builders asking for permits to go vertical, meaning to start building the house. Why is that? Because they learned their lesson from 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. They learned institutional memory. They're like, we don't want to go through that again. The market got a little bit weird on us. Rates got high on us. Buyers took a pause. We don't want to get caught holding the bag. So you know what? We're going to build less. 30% fewer permits. Wow, that's a lot. And that's going to come home to roost in a few months, in a year, when all of a sudden the buyers come back into the market and there's fewer homes, new homes being permitted to build. So take that in mind. Here's another number right here, completions, 1.4 million year over year. That's a good number. That's okay. But a couple of things to think about. Completions represents all housing. So that includes condos, that includes townhomes, that includes single family homes. If you look down here, single family completions, only 1 million from last year, 2021 to December of 2022. Only 1 million new homes nationwide have been completed. That is going to be an imbalance, because guess what? I told you at the beginning, in 2006, we had about 900,000 household formations. In 2022, 2023, we have about 1.4 million household formations, maybe even more. And so when you start to think about this number right here as the supply, and you think about how much demand is out there waiting, we've got clearly an imbalance. And that imbalance is going to drive demand, and that demand is going to support home values and home prices. Supply and demand, no matter what we want in the world, there are certain rules and there are certain laws. Now, it may take a little while for all that to catch up, but one of these rules is supply and demand. They will find some kind of equilibrium. They will find some kind of balance. And so these numbers right here are telling us that at least from new homes, we've got an imbalance. And what I said before also holds true. This represents 10 to 15% of the total market. So I know you sharp folks out there, and all the people that are listening to me all are sharp. I know you guys pay attention to these things. You're thinking, all right, well, what about the other 90 or 85% of the homes that are sold in this country? That's what we call existing home sales. Okay, an existing home is one that is currently occupied, like this one that I'm sitting in right now, and I decide, hey, I want to sell this house and buy something in, pick a place, Dallas, Texas, where I moved from, Florida, Bora Bora, wherever it is. This home then, when it hits the market, is an existing home, okay? And what this chart represents here is the cyclicality of the seasonal listings. So in the winter time, which is where we are right now, and if you've been in Seattle the last few weeks, you know it's winter, listings are low, right? Fewer homes come to market in the wintertime, just in general. But then as we get the spring thaw and people start thinking about their own plans, they start thinking about their kids and their schools, the cyclicality kicks in and more homes, the spring shopping market happens and the summer selling season happens, and we see more homes come on the market. And if you look at this, it rolls over. We hit a peak, and then it drops in the wintertime. We hit a peak again in the summer, and then it starts to decline and roll over in the autumn and drops in the wintertime. And that the shape of this graph shows that year after year after year. What it also shows, though, and what is really important to think about, is the angle of the graph. It is declining. So if we look at 2017, which is this first year, we had somewhere in the order of, I'm sorry, my eyesight's terrible, and this is really small print, but we had somewhere around 1.4, 1.5 million existing home listings at the start of that cycle. If you notice, this is going down. This is trending down. So as we get to the far right on this graph, that is July of 2022, which is as far as this graph goes right now, We have numbers here, yes, but look, that number is somewhere around, once again, 700, 800,000, much less than what we had in 2017, much less than what we had in 2019, 2020 even. What this means is that there are fewer existing homes being listed for sale in general by a magnitude of hundreds of thousands of homes. So once again, guys, what makes you think that all of a sudden you as the buyer are going to walk in there and start dictating terms when there's fewer homes for sale, either existing homes or new homes? What makes you guys think that somehow somebody's just going to give you free housing because you're such a strong negotiator, or they like the cut of your jib, as they say? It's just not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. And I'm telling you this not to rain on your parade, but to help hasten your decision-making process to get off the fence and start buying your homes now while you still have more of a negotiating opportunity. Because the other thing I was talking about yesterday in my failed Facebook Live attempt was anecdotal evidence of what's happening in the markets right now, today, earlier this week. And I'm sorry, guys, I just have anecdotes. I mean, I have charts, I have graphs, I showed them to you just now, but I also have anecdotes. And what's interesting is that as a species and as a culture, we learn from telling stories. So let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about one of my buyers who will remain nameless. Of course, everybody's confidentiality is protected. One of my buyers happens to be 33 years old. You know where that places him? Square in the middle of the fat part of the bell curve for the millennial generation. The millennial generation represents one of the largest demographic cohorts in the history of this country. Massive amount of people. And my buyer, 33 years old, right in the big, juicy part, the big, thick part of the bell curve. And he was buying his first home somewhere in the Seattle area. And that home was listed for $825,000. And it generated 6 offers total. And my buyer wanted it. So rather than pay what the sellers asked, he escalated above the asking price. So he paid more than, are you guys listening to this? You people sitting on the sideline saying, I'm going to buy it cheap later. He paid more than what they were asking for. He also waived his inspection. No inspection. He waived his financing, which always makes me uncomfortable because financing is my job, but he waived his financing contingency. And we're closing in 15 calendar days. That happened last weekend, MLK weekend, which was Sunday, this past Sunday, this Monday of this week. That's what happened this week, guys. So, you know, y'all are saying, oh, interest rates are too high, or there's going to be a collapse, and I'm just waiting to pick my moments and all the rest of that stuff. Y'all are picking your nose. You're missing the opportunity. It's changing. And I've spoken to multiple people who sell real estate. They're representing buyers, or they've got listings, they're doing open houses. And I've heard it from multiple people across all the different price points, whether it's first-time buyer price points, $500,000, $700,000. I know that's shocking as a first-time buyer, up to the $2 million price point. They're doing open houses over MLK weekend this past weekend, and they had hordes of people, 30 groups coming through, 20 groups coming through, so many people that they couldn't speak to all of them coming through. There's more of an interest happening. People are starting to come out of hibernation. Buyers are coming out, and as the buyers come out, they're driving the demand. And, you know, we are herd animals. People, just like cattle, when the whole herd is going in one direction, the rest of the stragglers start to jump in there as well. And that's what we're seeing right now as people start talking amongst themselves. Remember, we learn by stories. So you hear these stories and you're like, whoa, maybe I should get out there. And that becomes self-fulfilling and self-generating. And so more and more people are starting to take note of this. Now, we are still negotiating deals that sellers are paying closing costs on some of them. Sellers are doing interest rate buy downs on some of them. Sellers are allowing for inspections on some of them. Like, we're still creating some deal opportunities for the buyers, but that's not going to last forever. And guess what else is coming? Lower interest rates. that's going to be awesome for all of us. I'm thrilled. I'm ready for a low interest rate environment. I'm ready for the refi boom that's going to come with it. I'm ready for more buyers to come out of the woodworks as part of that. When interest rates start firmly with a 5, or dare I say a 4, that might happen sooner than we expect as inflation comes down. And we'll talk about that another 30-minute Thursday or fabulous Friday. I'm not sure yet, because I kind of like the Friday vibe. I'm not going to kid you. But as interest rates come down, what do you think is going to happen with all those buyers? That demand shoots right back up. And now we're back into the slugfest that was 2020 and 2021, especially in the Pacific Northwest. We're back to competing offers, escalation clauses, purchase price above asking, waiving all the contingencies, all that stuff that we were grinding through last 2 years ago. That may very well come back a lot sooner than we think. And we'll talk about, obviously, interest rates and the economy and the inflationary pressures and things like that. Nothing happens in a straight line. It won't go straight down. It's going to go down and then kind of perk and go middle, maybe tick up a little bit and then go down a little bit lower. But the rates are changing, and they will change favorably. They will continue to change favorably. And as it does, more and more buyers are going to take notice, and more demand is going to just hit all those very undersupplied markets. And here we go again. Just to give you guys an idea of how crazy 2020 and 2021 were, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac do an amalgamated for every year. They do like a total number of loans financed, whether it's purchases or refinances nationwide. And I saw a chart from 2011 through 2021. And all of those years up until 2020, they had, most of them started with 2 trillion, like it was a 2.2 trillion, 2.8 trillion, 2.5 trillion. Like every one of those years showed a total financing for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, refis, purchases nationwide, somewhere in the $2 trillion mark. A couple of years were like 1.8 trillion. Not as good, of course. But then 2020 and 2022 were the only years that had $4 trillion in funding. $4 trillion in mortgage funding in 2020 and in 2021. There are no years that had a $3 trillion number. It was either 2 point something or 4. So those 2 years were anomalies. No doubt about that. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. I'd like that. It was really good. But guess what? 2019 was not an anomaly year. 2019 was a normal year. And I think we're going to go back to 2019 when we were doing loans for people in the high 4s, low 5s on the 30-year fixed. And there was plenty of business, and there was still a lot of demand and not nearly enough supply. That demand, that millennial generation, and the people like my buyer who escalated on MLK weekend, there are millions of them. Let me repeat this. Let me restate it. There are tens of millions of them, and they have not all bought their home yet. There are still plenty of people out there who are in that part of their life arc, in that part of their development plan, who are getting ready to buy those homes. And when they come out of the woodworks, guys, it's going to be really steep competition, especially in the glorious Pacific Northwest, where they don't build as much real estate as they do in places like Texas or places like Florida or Arizona or Georgia. In Texas, we used to say, drive up the road until you can afford the real estate, right? Because there was just homes everywhere. It's not the same here in the Pacific Northwest. Y'all know this. If you sell real estate here, you're very well aware of our limitations and our constraints. So I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting some additional volume, a lot more volume than we had in 2022. I'm expecting more competition. I'm expecting tighter sort of offers, tighter sort of supply. It's going to change. Change is a constant, but we still have a little bit of time. And for you buyers out there, now's the time. And you real estate partners who are working with buyers who are still sitting on that fence, call me. Have your buyers call me. Let's talk. Let me share these slides with you. Let me share the data with you. Let me show you what's going on, because I would much rather your clients buy now and refinance in a year than go shopping in a year and beat their head against the wall month after month after month, because they're just being crushed by this just amazing competition that's going to come out of the woodworks. So that's the spiel. It's going to be a new year. It's going to be a very interesting market, and we're ready for it. And I'm ready to work with you guys. I'd love to speak with you real estate partners. I'd love to speak with clients, buyers, sellers, people who are thinking about doing one or the other or both. Let's talk. Let's figure out a strategy, because change is a constant, but we want to stay on top of that and be the beneficiaries of whatever opportunities do come our way. Having said all that, 30 minutes is just about up. I can't believe it. And it's been really cool. I like the Friday vibe. I don't know. Y'all tell me, do you prefer Friday or Thursday? What's easier for you guys? Maybe I might change my spiel around a little bit, but post it in the comments. Follow me. Call me with any questions. Call me with anything you need. Let me talk to your clients. And until then, first things first, have a wonderful weekend. Have a fantastic Lunar New Year, which starts on the 22nd. To all of my friends and family who celebrate the new year, Kung Hei Fa Choi. I hope y'all have a great, prosperous, healthy, and happy new year. Have a wonderful weekend. Y'all stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time, either Thursday or Friday. No, I take it back. I won't be here next time. It'll be in February. I've got a special project I'm working on next week, so I'm not going to do 30-minute Thursday or Friday, but I'll see you in February. Until then, have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for joining me. Y'all take care.